Hello and welcome to CSGO Talk, where the videos aren't short, the rants aren't sweet, and we almost never get to the point. I'm your host Chaos, and I'm here today with Tongue. How you doing, Tongue?
I'm doing wonderful, Chaos. It's always a pleasure to be with you, man.
It is. And today we finally got a sponsor, so I do want to mention real quick that this episode is brought to you by scdkey.com, the best place to get cheap Steam codes, CSGO keys, games, and more. Unlike G2A, they actually support game developers and they support the buyers of keys. If it doesn't work, get your money back, guaranteed, no problem. Use the link in the description to get 4% off any purchase. And it does support us, so we would greatly appreciate it if you do use our code. It's
Much
just the link in the
obliged.
description. And supports the show. And yeah, SCD Key, the honest key marketplace. Again, link in the description. So, Tongue, how's it going, buddy? Let's get right into it. So, we've got some new stuff going on. So, hot off the presses, as I
Mm-hmm.
like to say,
Mm-hmm.
just a few hours ago at this point, which for
Will
everybody
be like a
else
day later
will
for
be
our
about a
viewers.
day later. Let me adjust my
Mm-hmm.
mic real quick. I need to get it a little closer. Okay, we're good now. So Relyks left Selfless for not really a known reason. We don't really know why he left.
Mm-hmm.
We'll speculate as always. That's what we do. But
Yes, yes.
before we get into Relyks, let's talk about Tarik, the Grandmaster Tarik. So he
Tarik.
Tarik. So the Grandmaster, the prodigy, the savior of NA, right?
The last good player on CLG.
The last good player on CLG joins Optic. So I
Mm-hmm.
want to say I posted this on Twitter when he announced it, but Tarik went from a mediocre team to a slightly less but still incredibly mediocre team. So I don't really
Yes.
know if this was I don't know if this was the best move for Tarik, but it
Mm-hmm.
was a move, right? It was a
Yeah.
move. It was, it was something. Uh
Yeah.
yeah, so let's talk about where he fits on Optic first. So this was my biggest question because
Mm-hmm.
he replaces Stanislaw, right? And Stanislaw kind of acted as a support player, wasn't like the star fragger, wasn't expected to be like the top fragging guy. And now
Mm-hmm.
you replace him with Tarik, who is expected to be the top fragging guy. He is that star player, which, I mean, I think it's a good move for the team because Tarik is a higher caliber player. It's just a
Yes.
question of where does he fit on the team. That's more what I'm wondering. And how does Tarik on Optic compare to Tarik on CLG? Like, what do you think? Where does he fit on Optic compared to where he was on CLG? You know?
Yeah. I think it's a common thing to be looking for a lot more firepower nowadays. It's interesting because we see there are some teams that really hold their team composition together. We see Navi was for a long time the same roster. We've seen SK show the same roster for a long time. But these are teams that we see a lot of firepower with consistently, so they're able to build off of that, build a team synergy. But on the counterpoint, like Optic's doing now, they're moving around their lineup for the likes of fitting in Tarik. And like you said, Stanislaw is a different position. He's
Mm-hmm.
coming in, Tarik's taking his place, but I don't think he's taking the position that Stanislaw filled.
Yeah,
I think
definitely
Tarik
not.
is, yeah, yeah. So Tarik, because of his star power, his firepower, I think we're going to see some rotations in Optic, or we see a different game plan, right? Maybe we don't see a dedicated support player. Maybe we don't see Tarik being full 100% firepower, though I think that'd be stupid to do. We could see some hybridization in his role. We could
Yeah,
see,
definitely.
so we could maybe see two of their other players. Who else is on Optic? We've got Nafly.
We've got Nafly, we've got
Nafly.
Rush, we've got Daps, we've got
Okay.
Tarik, and the fifth is who's the fifth? Oh, Mixwell the
Okay.
Operator.
So maybe we see Daps and Nafly take up the support a little bit. They don't each have to be dedicated supports, but every
Yeah,
like few rounds they'll buy like a nade instead of maybe the full M4 or something. But it's interesting to see because I think a lot of tier 3 teams are trying to do this. They pick up a really big player from a weaker team. You conglomerate them into your organization, and you hope 2 to 3. 2 months maybe that they fit together, and we've got a lot of time till the next major.
Yeah,
So,
we definitely do.
you just kind of like hope and pray that all the players get together, they all work well,
Yeah,
and
I
then you
mean,
just do your best.
really, right now, I think all these teams are preparing for the qualifier, which I
Hmm.
believe is in November, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So that's obviously they have a good 3 months to prepare for that. So I mean, so this is the thing with Tarik. So he's, as you said, he's a star fragger, and so obviously he's not gonna just be in a support role. But
No,
Tarik
no.
is not an entry fragger either, and
Oh.
so
Who is on Optic?
normally it's Nayfly and Rush. They kind of dual entry,
Okay.
kind of split it
Okay.
between them. So I think
Like
they will
Elysian Nitro.
yeah, I think they will continue to do that entry fragging role because Tarik's not an entry. I think
Hmm.
Daps was already a support, but now that Stanislaw left, Mixwell is an opper, so Mixwell isn't really going to be much of a support player. I mean, he
No, you
can
really
be,
can't be, especially as an op.
yeah, so he's not really going to be much of a support. So I think Daps is going to be like a sole support player now, and then Tarik is not going to be the entry, but he'll be like second, third man into the site. So right after Rush and Nayfly go in the site, it'll be Tarik going in and picking off guys. So I
Alright.
think that's where Tarik would probably fit best in his role because he's not a lurk necessarily, but
Hmm.
he's not an entry either. So he's always like the guy who likes to be like second into the site, and he's really
Okay.
good at that. That's his specialty, right? So he can pick off kills.
Hmm.
Um, so
As
Daps,
a
well,
mhm.
what were you gonna say?
Oh, well, because I know that you've done a little bit of coaching, you do a lot of analysis, so I think you have a good insight into this. But like, how difficult do you think it would be to move from the position of being maybe the entry fragger or even like the secondary fragger to a full support player? How much does it change your
Um, I
gameplay?
think I think going from entry frag to
Hmm.
support is not bad. Entry
Okay.
frag to support is not that hard. Going from support to entry is very difficult, right? The learning curve is
Um,
much steeper there.
yeah, yeah.
So I think that Daps being a full time support player will be fine, because I have my own opinions on Daps, and I think that honestly, I think this will be our little transition into Relyks, right? But I think that Daps might be leaving the team soon because here's my theory. I'm always coming with my theories. So Daps is the weakest fragger on the team. I don't think anybody's doubting that. He's their IGL, but really he's not like some elite IGL. It's not like his
Hmm.
calling is bringing them to like some elite level and it makes up for his gameplay, like like a Sean Gares or a Gobby or something like that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not like his calling is making up for like a lack of kills. Um, it's just that he's very standard in his calls. He doesn't come with new strats too often. He's just someone who doesn't really elevate the team's game tactically. And then to add on top of that, that he's not like a star frag or anything like that, you
Hmm.
have to think that Daps doesn't really fit on the team anymore. Because if you're looking who's the weakest player, it has to be Daps. And I think if you look at Relyks leaving now, well, they Optic doesn't really have a full time lurk, and if they bring in a
Hmm.
second fragger who can complement Tarik, then that makes this team a lot stronger. So if you bring in Relyks to be that full dedicated lurk that Relyks was already playing as on Selfless, and then he's also a star fragger who can get tons of kills just like Tarik, I think that's a deadly combination, and that would really elevate Optic to the next level because
Yeah, yeah.
then you look at the top teams in NA. So you've got Cloud9, you've got Liquid, you've got Echo Fox who's looking pretty strong right now, and then you've got like Optic, right? I would say Optic would be in that fourth spot. Well, if you look at like Echo Fox, Liquid, and Cloud9, well, if you have Tarik and you have Relyks, you have two star fraggers, and then you have Nayfly and Rush who are also very good fraggers. About a year ago, both Nayfly and Rush looked like they were going to be some of the best players in NA. They've kind of, I think, tapered off, like plateaued in their gameplay. They haven't like exploded into star caliber players, but they're still very strong and consistent players. So if you have two like anchor points who can just they're gonna be consistent, you can't expect them to be dropping like 30 bombs, but you can expect them to get their kills when necessary. You have
Hmm.
Mixwell, who's a pretty decent operator. I wouldn't say he's on the level of a JDM or a Scudulo or anything, but
Yeah.
he's a decent opper. And then you have Tarik and Relyks, who are star riflers. I think that Optic will be a seriously good team, and they'll definitely be in contention for one of the top NA teams. The only other team that I could see Relyks going to would be TSM, because they did lose Automatic, but TSM has already signed Justin, so I don't really think that TSM would be, just replacing him right away. That wouldn't really make sense to me. So I think if I were to expect Relyks to go anywhere in the immediate future, I would expect Optic, because anywhere other than Optic, he's not going to go to Cloud9, Echo Fox, Liquid, right? There's no space for him there. And then the only teams would be TSM, but they already signed Justin, so I don't think that happens. So Optic's the only team that makes sense, because any other team that he goes to would be a step down from Selfless, right? Like, why would he go to a worse team? That's the question. So I think really the only place he could go to would be Optic. I mean, I guess that's really it.
And don't you think it would make sense?
I mean, I think it would. Like I said, I think all the pieces would fit together well. And if you have Tarik and Relyks on the same team, that's a whole nother level, right? That makes you able to compete with Cloud9, compete with Liquid, compete with Echo Fox, right? Who all look very strong right now. Well, except for Liquid, but had to put that dig in there, right? I had to. So let's move on to Oskar on Mouse Sports. So he's joining Mouse Sports. So Oskar did a little background research on him. So he was a very good player about a year ago. He's a very good 1.6 player, right? But he's kind of been not really on any top tier teams as of late. But he was a top 15, maybe top 10 player in the world at one point. I think this is a good pickup for Mouse Sports. I think that he will complement Nico very well. I think it's very smart that he joined. Right? I think the only thing that I disagree with is removing Nex, because you'd think that they would remove Speedy or Dennis, who are kind of pretty clearly the worser players. Nex was always the second or third best, depending on how Chris J was performing. So I think that there would have to be something here with like chemistry issues that would cause him to leave, because it doesn't make much sense that Nex would leave the team if it weren't for like disagreements with the players. I mean, what do you think? I think that Dennis and Speedy, one of those two should have, preferably Dennis, should have been ousted, but I mean, I don't know. There must have been chemistry issues there, because there shouldn't be a reason that the second or third best player leaves rather than like the worst player on that team,
Yeah, it could definitely be. It's interesting to see the dichotomy of like Tarik joining Optic in favor of star power instead of chemistry, and then we see teams like Mouz, preferring the firepower to chemistry.
Yeah.
Or kicking off because of chemistry rather than firepower.
Yeah.
I don't. We saw a little bit on harkening back to E-League. We see a little bit of the tension and frustration that Nico and Chris J shared. I don't know where Nex would play into it. He seemed he was an IGL, right? Who's IGL? Is it Nico?
No, they have a coach's IG. I mean,
okay.
They had Nico, then they had a coach. It moves around. I think right now they're coach, but obviously with the new coaching rule, I don't know what's gonna happen with that Mouse Sports, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. Like, chemistry is a very vital part of a team. Obviously, when you're in team sports, people have to get along. But when you're at this level and you're a pro, I feel like at the same time, while chemistry is important, if you want to get the wins, really, when you look at top teams, you need talent, right? If you look at who are the best teams in the world, or like Fnatic, why were they so good for so long, right? Pre-roster change, but why did they win like 3 straight majors? Maybe they didn't always get along, but they had like tons of star fraggers. If you look at Navi now, right? They drop Zeus, who was the most like friendly player on the team, you could probably say, in favor for Simple, who's famous for being kind of toxic. But you say, well, we're sacrificing that because as professional players, we have to get over disagreements with each other if we need the best possible talent. And I think that I'm not saying it was a mistake by Mouse Sports, because I think Oscar's a better player than Nex. I just think Nex was the wrong guy to remove. But maybe they just couldn't play together anymore. We don't know the details. Obviously, that's something that's within the team, and it's pure speculation. But I don't know. I mean, it's always a question of, do you play for chemistry or do you play for like the strongest possible roster? I don't know. I've seen both versions work. Right, Hiko, the whole Hiko was right thing was basically, yeah,
Because,
Cloud9, everybody's best friends or whatever, but I
yeah.
want the best possible team. And obviously Hiko was right. So I don't know. We've seen both work, I guess you could say.
Hmm.
But I think historically, I think going for just the top level talent on a team is
Hmm.
and just figuring out the chemistry later is better than going straight for chemistry but then not having as much talent. I don't know. I'm mixed. We'll have to see how Mouse Sports plays. And yeah, that kind of gets us into our final segment today, and it's going to be the predictions for this week. So we've got the
Yeah.
CyberPower PC finals. We've got 8
Oh yeah.
North American teams.
Hmm.
We're gonna go ahead, me and Tong. We're gonna first give our finalists who we would guess would be in the final, and then we're gonna both give our underdog team, the theme that we could maybe, the team that maybe could slip through cracks,
All right.
unexpected, the dark
Yeah.
horse.
For our for our audience who doesn't know, let's list the 8 people who are in the Cyber PC finals or who are in the runnings for
Yes,
it.
we've got TSM, got
Hmm.
Optic, Immortals, Selfless, Cloud9, Energy, Liquid, and Luminosity. Those are the 8 teams right now. Um, so you want to go first or me? It's up to you.
Uh, yeah. It was. I can't see the bracket right now. Do you have it pulled up in front of you?
There's no, I didn't see. I know who's playing first. It's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
TSM versus Optic, Immortal, Selfless. But basically, there's no set bracket. So I would,
Okay.
I'll start it off with who I think my finalists will be. I think my
Mm-hmm.
finalists. I mean, obviously, Cloud9 looks stellar. They haven't lost a game yet with Automatic. They're now 10-0, I believe, with Automatic. You're 9-0, 10-0. I didn't see the second CLG game that happened today, but I would assume they're 10-0 at this point. So you've got Cloud9 not losing a game yet with Automatic. So I think that compared to the rest of these teams in these field, I don't think that
Mm-hmm.
they have much trouble. Then you've got Liquid, who they've been struggling, but I think you just got to go with Liquid, right? I mean, I think it's between Liquid and Optic for who's going to be in the final besides Cloud9. I think Optic doesn't look that strong either. So if I'm going to pick between them, I'm going to go with Liquid. Your thoughts on who's going to be the 2 finalists?
Did you say that Luminosity is there?
Luminosity is there.
Right, right. There. Sorry. I thought back to old Luminosity. I was like, aren't you forgetting
Yeah.
someone?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Old habits die hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's tough to say. We've seen Liquid not doing very well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say Cloud9 and Immortals.
Immortals. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see Immortals. I just feel like Immortals have been disappointing me lately. I feel like their level of play hasn't been where it should be, where we expect them to be, but we'll see. You want to give your underdog team first? I have mine in mind. I don't think you'll be. I think it's gonna be a little unexpected. Who's your underdog team?
Um, Wait, the people who I want to win, or people who?
The team who you think it could be who you want to win, but or it could be the underdog team who I don't think too many people would expect them to win this tournament or make it to the finals or anything like that.
Okay. I'm gonna throw my hat into Energy.
Energy.
Yeah.
Whoa. No. Sorry, gonna have to veto that one right there. No way in hell Energy
I,
beats Cloud9, dude.
no,
They're
that's
out in
the biggest
first
barrier.
round. Yeah.
Yeah, they are. I mean, it looks like that really, but from what I've seen of Energy, they put up a pretty good showing in past E League season. We've seen them
Mm,
do considerably well. Uh,
mm,
I don't know. All right, who's your
mm.
underdog? All right, Mister. I'm so confident that Energy's gonna lose.
My underdog, and you're not gonna like this because you're a Liquid fanboy, but I think Luminosity knocks off Liquid in the first round.
All right.
Boom.
Oof.
Luminosity look really good right now. I'm not kidding. I mean, they lost the best of 3 to Echo Fox the first time they played, which was to get into Pro League, so they didn't end up making into Pro League, but they played them again to qualify for Star Ladder, and they
Hmm.
ended up beating Echo Fox. And Echo Fox like they beat the top performing like a Fox that we see right now that has won like 6 straight games, and they beat them while like a Fox seems to be peaking right now. So Luminosity looks really good to me. They've been playing really strong. If you look at their roster, they actually have some really good fraggers, and I think that if there's one Brazilian team that I think will make it deep, it's not gonna be Immortals. It's gonna be Luminosity.
Immortals is better than Luminosity. There's no contention.
In theory, they're better, but at how they're playing right now, I think Luminosity will knock off Liquid, and I don't know how the brackets will work out, but if they end up facing like Immortals, or if they face like Optic or TSM in the semis, I think that they could beat them, and then you see like a Cloud9 Luminosity final. I think that would be really interesting. So that's my underdog prediction. I don't think they're good enough to beat Cloud9. I think Cloud9 takes the tournament, but I think that Luminosity will be the underdog here. So, yeah, and now the European game of the week. So we've got Mousesports versus G2. That was the one we picked because we want to see Mousesports with their new roster. And G2, they've been kind of not struggling, but not like at the peak of their game, I don't think.
Yeah,
so.
they've been a little quiet.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on this one? Who do you think takes this one? There's 2 games, obviously.
Yeah, Oscar's really new, so we won't see the benefits of a very like in sync team. Depending on like, I just don't see them, making that much progress to like fully gel. We're not gonna see like a Fnatic-esque team. We're gonna see more of a like a Cloud9 with high firepower, I think.
Yeah.
G2 on the other hand, I really want to say that like they're gonna come back swinging. That they felt these crushing blows at the hands of Fnatic. They've had their pride hurt. That that they've been screaming and putting their heart into it. But I don't know. I'm gonna put Mouz. I really like their performance at getting top 4 at E-League. It depends on who picks first.
I think that you have to remember Mouz did play the new Fnatic and they lost 2-0. Now they were close games, but this is a tough one for me because I think this is an interesting matchup, but it's kind of like 2 teams who are sleepers. I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna go 2-0. No. Mouz isn't gonna 2-0. I'll go 1-1.
No.
It's 1-1. I'll do the split because G2 isn't on top of their game, and Mousesports played Fnatic really close, and it was their first time playing with Oskar, so you can't really expect them to beat Fnatic first time you play with the new roster. So I'll go a 1-1 split. I think maybe they'll win their respective maps. I think that G2 should be stepping up their game soon, but granted, it's just online league. It's not like it's a LAN or something. So I'll go with the 1-1 split. Are you going with 1-1 split?
I think that's the safest bet. I want to throw my hat into the 2-0 Mouz, and I would
love to, but it's just I don't think G2 loses twice to Mouse.
No, I really don't. I don't think that they have it in them.
Yeah,
so.
Especially with Shocks and Scream, they're not gonna let that happen.
If they go off, it could be 2-0 in G2.
I think it's more likely to be 2-0 G2 than it is 2-0 Mousesports, but at the end of the day, it is online best of ones, so it's anything really could happen. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching as always. Thank you again to SCD Key for sponsoring this show. Again, link in the description. Get 4% off. It does support us. We do appreciate it. And telling anything else to say today?
No, just again a big thanks to the viewers for making this happen, and we hope to keep bringing you content. Like and subscribe, and add any comments about what you want to change to the videos.
Yep. Oh, I forgot to mention, Winterfox Winterfox joined Denial. I skipped it over, but who gives a fuck? They suck. Peace.
Peace.